more into advanced guitar playing, thinking in terms of intervals rather than notes or chords becomes increasingly useful. In this lesson, we're going to assume that you're already reasonably familiar with the layout of octave patterns, and we're going to work at getting you oriented to the next three most useful interval patterns: the third, the fifth, and the minor seventh. On any one string, we can find a major third by moving up 4 frets. But that's quite an awkward step to finger melodically, and of course it's of no use to us when constructing chords. When working across the strings, the commonest shape for a third is this one. So working from a root or key note, like C for example, we go up a string, back a fret. And this works fine on any adjacent pair of strings, except of course from the third string to the second string, where the pattern has to be shifted to 2 notes straight across, like this. So my C third down here, C to E, looks like that, but from this C it looks like that because that note's an E there. So in the chord of C, for example, we can spot a third interval here, so we can see the pattern there, and we can double check by just naming the notes. We've got C there, A sharp, B, C, and we've got E there, D, D sharp, E. So that makes sense, C, D, E. It's the 1 and the third in the key of C. But in the C shape, there's a second third interval that is slightly hidden between here and here, the open E. When playing open chords, it's best to think of any sounded open string as being fingered here, behind the nut. So we're playing that string open, we think of it as having a finger there. Okay, let's move on to spotting fifths. You may already be familiar with this shape from playing power chords. So here we go, 2 frets up from our roots and 1 string across. And we can check that that's 5 steps up the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But again, as we move across the guitar, we come to that gap between the third and the second string, we have to stretch the shape to 3 frets up. Staying with power chord shapes for a minute, very often when we're playing fifth chords in rock music, we double up the root note and play the octave, adding that to the fifth as well. So we have a 3-note power chord that effectively goes 1, 5, 8. So, as well as think of this shape as being a fifth, from G to D, first to fifth in the key of G here, we can also think of this shape as being a fifth. It's what we call an inverted fifth, because the root note is higher and the fifth is lower. So we've got a G there, 5th fret on the D string, and we've got a D, 5th fret on the A string. Playing those together gives us an inverted fifth, and this is probably the easiest way of playing a fifth, as in So quite often in a chord shape we spot the fifth as being at the same fret but one string lower than the root. For example, if I play this A chord, here's our root note on the 3rd string at fret 2, so that's A, G sharp A, and directly below it, same fret on the D string, we've got our 5th, the note E. So that's an inverted 5th as part of that familiar A major shape. Notice that on the basic D shape, the root is here at 3rd fret on the 2nd string, but the 5th has shifted down a fret to account for the tuning anomaly between these two strings. So that's an inverted 5th in a D shape in the same way as that's the inverted 5th in the A shape. Finally, for this lesson, let's look at where we can find the minor 7th interval, or flatted 7th as I usually refer to it in chord formulas. For me, there are two particularly useful ways of looking at this interval. You can find it as being one tone down, or 2 frets lower than the octave. So there's the octave, note 1 to 8, there's note 7, there's note flat 7. So that's our minor 7th interval. And that means, of course, that it's always 2 frets down from any root note. So that's our flat 7 there, relative to that root note. But down here, you've also got a flat 7 there. You've also got a flat 7 there. Wherever there's a root note, there's a flat 7 2 frets down from it. And the other way of thinking about this is to think of a flat 7th as being at the same fret, but 2 strings higher than any root note. Although again, of course, that's upset by the tuning anomaly, and here you'd have to go up a fret. So in a C7th chord shape, for example, it's easy to spot this as the flatted 7th. And of course, that same interval spotting holds good for any of the shapes that are built on this basic C7 shape. For example, we have a 9th chord shape built on that C7 shape, and that part of it is the flatted 7th note, flatted 7th interval. And it doesn't matter if that's the sharp 9, the 7 sharp 9, the 7 flat 9, or the 13th, or any shape built with that as its core. That's always going to be where the flat 7th part of it is. Similarly, if I play the basic shape for an E string rooted 7th chord, we can see our flat 7 there. It's that same pattern, 2 strings up at the same fret. And it doesn't matter whether I'm playing a 7th, a 9th, a sharp 9th, a 7 sharp 5, 13th, 11th, all these shapes, you've got the root and the flat 7 at the heart of it there. Well, that's just a few ideas to get you started thinking this way. I'll develop this idea of interval pattern recognition over the next lesson or two, and show you a few useful applications of looking at the fretboard this way in order to analyse chord shapes, arpeggio and scale patterns. If you found this little video interesting, please do click on the like button if there is one, or leave a comment, and do feel free to share the video with your friends. And if you'd like to gain full access to all our guitar teaching materials, please visit the Secret Guitar Teacher site and take a free look round at what's available there. See you again soon.